Hello, this is the Appliance Nerd with another video on how to fix your Whirlpool brand washer, which is covered under Kenmore, Amana, Roper, and a couple other ones. Basically, tip your washer over, and if it looks like this underneath, you're on the right video. So the symptoms this is having is it fills with water. It doesn't agitate. The tub doesn't move whatsoever during the wash cycle, and then it just goes right to drain. And it makes a loud noise, or just a weird loud noise. And customer put it directly on spin, and nothing moves at all. So what that typically is a bad motor coupler, which is underneath here, and I'm going to show you how to get to it. And also, this is how it looks. And so while I'm opening this, be sure to subscribe to my channel, like, and I'm very interactive, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. But this is what the motor coupler looks like. And I sell this directly on my website, and there's a link below. And this is upgraded from the factory one. You'll see when I take this off if it has a factory on there. It originally came with plastic, and they pretty easy. This one has a metal part on the inside that keeps it that makes it won't wear out as fast as they used to. So first thing we do is take off the drain pump. You can use this with your fingers, or you can shove a screwdriver in there to remove the clips. You got that clip, and remove right from the top up here. Can you see that? Nope. Sorry about the camera work. And these are the clips for the pump. Use a screwdriver to pop that right off. So what I did was wedge my screwdriver in this part here to get that clip off. And what I do with the pump is pop it right off, and I spin it right underneath the frame right there. Keeps it from popping, not hitting you in the face or anything, keep it from moving. So our next thing is take the other clip off. Make sure you put these somewhere you don't lose them, because you will need them. Next thing I do is actually leave the motor plugged in. Don't even bother with that. And these two clips that hold the motor on, they're held on by two screws. So you need a 1/4-inch nut driver. Take that right off. And these screws are shipping screws. I usually don't put them back on because they're really not necessary. They use them for shipping, but it doesn't hurt to put them back on either, I guess. But they're not really necessary. So we take this off. And we do the same thing with the screwdriver to take the clips off. Or this one, you can either do it from here, because you have the frame, which is made out of metal, so that's helpful, but you can't do that with the pump because it's all plastic. So what we do is just remove the motor, pops right off, and look at that. That coupler is just worn down. There's no teeth on that thing whatsoever. To the side of you, no teeth on that thing whatsoever, and it's got a lot of lint around the motor, most likely from the dryer. And the dryer was probably had some wasn't venting outside and got in. So what I just did was remove the wiring harness so I can set the motor down on the floor, because I have it actually sitting on a hand truck so you can view it easier. So we take these off. And with your screwdriver, just wiggle that coupler off. Wow, this thing really took a beating. Look at that. Gosh. That had no meat on it whatsoever. So what this coupler does is that motor engages. This is the transmission. So it engages the transmission and helps it spin. So obviously this thing wasn't spinning at all because of that. So now we're going to put our new coupler with the metal clip. You see the old one? No metal. See how rounded that is in there? So you need that metal clip in there. So they made an upgrade. So now you just have to make sure when you line it up, it's kind of a oval shape. And so make sure it lines up with the shaft here. You push that on. Now here's another trick. So I gotta get my parts. Here's another trick I use to hammer it down. I use this is an extension from a nut driver, or you can use the driver itself, or there's something with a flat surface that's even on there, and just tap it. You can't just, the hammer won't fit in there because it'll break the teeth, so you want something, a nice long shaft, and just pound it down. You're going to make sure that thing isn't touching the frame, you don't want to bottom it out. Alright, so you got that done. Next, we put the rubber bushing on. Alright, again, while you're watching this video, don't forget to subscribe. You know, we do this just to give people information and, you know, make a few dollars on selling parts, keep the videos going, so I appreciate your support on that. So now this is the shaft, and we're going to put this coupler on the other end. Now, beware, this is we call it rookie errors we make sometimes. You don't want to put on the wrong part. That longer part, that is for the pump. So if you see in wires, that means you got it on the wrong side. This, you want to put it on this back side right here, where you have these rubber bushings. And just inspect your shaft. Shaft is good. So we want to line this up. And usually they just push right on there. Sometimes they don't. And we want to hammer that on there. See, nice and flush, not too hard. And you don't want it touching you don't want it bottoming out. Alright. Now, this is the tricky part. When you remove your motor, a lot of times these bushings will be stuck in these holes in here. So let's just take them out if you want to get stuck and put them on here. Make sure they're facing the right way or your motor will not fit back on there. So make sure these are facing the right way. And make sure your wiring is facing the right direction. And usually I put a hole right here at the bottom that's on the bushing and line this up with it. Now this is going to be a little bit difficult sometimes, especially if you had a weird angle. So I got this thing in my hand truck, so I got it directly sideways. Just be careful doing that in your laundry room because you may get a little water on your floor. So and this is the hard part, trying to line this thing up. Trying to get the holes in the holes. Come on. There we go. Line her up. All right. All right, now for the next part is to put these brackets back on, which is tricky also. It's always going to, you know, look easy coming off, but it's always tough getting back on. So now, I usually do the back one first, but let me show you the front one for camera purposes. You want to line up into the grooves here and twist it. You'll see what I'm talking about on yours, and just push that on. And again, it's the tricky part because you don't have a lot of visibility behind the machine. You almost have to feel for it. And you have to lean up, push the motor up a little bit forward. And trying to line her up and do the same thing. Twist and put them on there. Now when you're handling the motor, be sure to make sure you don't damage these windings. You can easily damage your motor that way. Especially if you decide to clean it or something like that. You just don't want to shove too much stuff in there because your motors can be a bit expensive. And so next we're going to put the pump on. Now with the pump, you can move that shaft around to get it to line up. Remember, it's an oval shape, so it's not particularly round. So there's the flat in there, and you can just kind of move this around a little bit. There you go. See the shaft down here, the coupler shaft with your finger, and get that to fit. And make sure it seats good. And there's holes right here. Make sure it fits right into the grooves, or you're gonna have to keep monkeying with it a little bit more. Push it down, clip. And the clip. Alright, so while you're down here, you want to inspect a few things. Look at your, let me grab the camera to show you. So you got it in this position, especially if you're not doing this for a living. You're a DIYer. You want to inspect your springs. See that spring here? This spring typically rusts out and pops off, and that will throw your tub off of balance. So make sure your springs are good. See these springs here. Always inspect these things and make sure they don't break off. Sometimes they rust off from excess moisture. Just make sure your motor's plugged in. That's your capacitor. Everything looks good on here. I mean, it's not the prettiest, but it'll work. That means they have very heavy-duty machines, and they're worth repairing every time because they're easy to repair, and the parts are pretty cheap. If you hired me to come out here fix something like this, I typically charge $160. Even though the parts are cheap, you're paying for the labor and the knowledge. But since you're doing it yourself watching this video, you saved yourself a lot of money. And as a token of your appreciation, I'd appreciate if you're going to go on there and order the part from our website, and it has a 1-year warranty on it. Thank you, and feel free to ask me any questions.